pool play, moving on to the quarterfinals in the 2022 Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships here at beautiful Bob Deans Field in sunny Christchurch, although the clouds are starting to come in to really set the tone as we move into the later stages of the tournament. Our next game between Hammertron Prime from Hamilton and MDC S.W.O.R.D based out of Auckland. So we're going to go to these teams now for the flip to determine offense or defense just moments before the opening pull of the match. Okay, so MDC S.W.O.R.D to play out of defense from the right-hand side of your screen in the dark kit. Hammertron to come out on offense, the left-hand side of your screen out of light. We've got Coach Charles Patterson for MDC S.W.O.R.D to just give us a quick rundown for how the tournament's going so far. So, Charles, just a quick summary. How have S.W.O.R.D been performing so far in the tournament?
Cool. So a lot of our games have come out a little flat at the start. We found that we've been like more of a second half team, but we've been able to bring it back up and really fight to the end of those games. We had a rough game this morning playing ULTI.TV, took a loss there, but came out strong in our last game in NZMUC.
Awesome, great work. And in a game like this against Hammertron, we know there's a lot of youth and athleticism on their team. They've got quite a large roster, particularly compared to your S.W.O.R.D Shield, the S.W.O.R.D split for Auckland. So what are going to be the key focuses to really condense your offense and defense and make the most out of that difference in numbers, or to try and minimize the impact of the sort of freshness on that side?
Yeah, I think mainly playing our sets that we've been training and not trying to play into their game, just play what we've been doing all season. I think that's what's going to work for us. Our defense is where we're hopefully going to shine, especially in this win. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Awesome, thank you, Charles, and hopefully see you out on the field again soon.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
our
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the ultimate world and beyond.
And here we go, the hooter has just gone for the first of our filmed quarterfinal matches. 2v3 based on our final pool play standings. So second in Pool A versus third in Pool B, and then third in Pool A versus the second in Pool B. So there should be some really tightly focused matches here at Bob Deans Field for the Division 1 Mixed Ultimate Championships 2022. As always, my name is Blair Monroe.
And my name is Lydia Smith.
And we are happy, as always, to be working with the ULTI.TV crew to bring you the very best in Ultimate here in New Zealand, Australia, and overseas. If you like what you see and you want to help us out, head on over to patreon.com/ULTI.TV. Your spare change, your donations make all the difference. Might even help us buy some sandbags to keep the marquee in place in this aggressive win that is definitely going to have an impact on the play today. As Charles Patterson for MDC S.W.O.R.D pointed out, this is a moment for them to really make their defense shine, especially in this wind. It's quite inconsistent, but it's very, very strong. So the team that adapts to this earliest is going to be the one that starts to walk away with the game. Anna Crosby, Kate Charlesworth, Anna Dolan. Owen Sun, Lee Yo, Zaria Ireland, and Peter Boardman to take the defensive line for MDC S.W.O.R.D, sorry. And there's the opening pull. Beautiful with a lot of float. It's getting carried, pushed down. Vaughan Wilson lets it touch the ground. Some early give-and-go work to eat up some yards, working with Kelly Carter, MDC S.W.O.R.D throwing down a zone defense. Peter Boardman, Kate Charlesworth, and Anna Dolan really pressuring that near sideline. One chip through to Melody Young. Briar Bertram trying to make herself available as a continuation option on the near sideline, but in this win, she might need to be a little bit more active. Floaty disc out towards the far sideline for Michael Downey, who put in a huge amount of work in Hammertron Prime's Universe Point game against Credo. Puts a big shot up for Lucas Wilcock, wide open on the far sideline.
Throws the continuation.
Great snatch by Briar Bertram. Hammertron Prime going up by 1 over S.W.O.R.D. A beautiful offensive hold for Hammertron there. Exactly what they needed to kick themselves off and get those engines firing after a very close loss against Credo, who we'll see in our other quarterfinal match very shortly after the conclusion of this one. Lucas Wilcock puts a low one up. It's got the wind at its back. It's going to carry it long. Owen Sun tries to chase that one down, but Bertram wide open in space, able to make herself a great reception threat and pull that disc down to put an early point on the board. And now Hammertron fires back with a defensive line of their own. Finn Collins, Aroha Hughes, Crystal Tan, Tucky Moruhu Cookson, Jaden Frost, Connor Doherty, Margie Hogan. So the breeze looking like it's there's an element of upwind, downwind to it, looking like it's coming from the right-hand side of your screen towards the left. Huge pull by Finn Collins. Gets pushed down towards the end of its path, fielded by James Crosby. Jaden Frost looking to shut down that first pass, but it goes to Lee Yo in the center field. Tessa Swinson. Frost bids for it, but Yo comes away with it. Troy Stevenson trying to get free of Connor Doherty, but is not able to do it. Peter Boardman ends up with the disc on the near sideline on a high stall count. Doesn't really gain a lot of position from it, but he's able to bend one around the mark of Moruhu Cookson. Back to Crosby. Crosby puts a hammer up to Troy Stevenson. Bounces one back across to Lee Yo. Frost gets busy to shut down that reset option to Crosby. Peter Boardman out the front of Martin Hogan. Throws one very low, but Laylee Bender comes away with it. Back to Lee Yo, the far sideline. Quick, snappy forehand. And
What a grab by Tessa Swinson in the end zone.
Absolutely beautiful play by MDC S.W.O.R.D, going 1 for 1 with Hammertron Prime so far. We'll see that again. Lee Yo gets the disc on that far sideline. Low shot, Bender goes to a knee to keep it off ground, goes back to Yo, quick snappy forehand. Straight through to Crosby, a wide open space, and a quick backhand continuation for Swinson for the score. The wind really picking up. It's definitely going to have a lot more of an impact on this game than we've seen previously throughout the tournament. Those overhead options against that Hammertron zone, like that hammer attempt to Troy Stevenson that did come off, they're going to become less and less viable options as the game proceeds. So we will see whether or not MDC S.W.O.R.D, who have put on a great performance throughout the tournament so far. There's a lot of athleticism on their team, although their numbers are looking a little bit lean due to injury, and how they'll fare against the small ball, close quarters ultimate that has been prioritized by Hammertron over the past few seasons. Taiapa, Kapoa, Houvelin, Briar Bertram, Kelly Carter, Vaughan Wilson, and Lucas Wilcock. Kapoa and Carter to start. Trying to use the width. MDC coming down in his zone defense. Ian Stewart, President of New Zealand Ultimate, really trying to take away those early options. Kelly Carter swings wide to Manny Taiapa on the near sideline. Charlesworth slowly closes the trap. Threads one through the middle, back to Kelly Carter. Anna Dolan trying to take a wing away, so nothing comes up that near sideline. Eaten up, just as we called it. Great positioning there to generate that turn. Fires one. Fires one up to Kate Charlesworth. Kelly Carter putting the mark on. It goes high. Brought in by Peter Boardman, quickly snapped through to James Crosby for the score. MDC S.W.O.R.D going up by 1. Some great heads-up defense by Anna Dolan, pressuring the wing on the sideline for that continuation. Kelly Carter looking for Lucas Wilcock, but it doesn't come away. Gets the intercept. And is able to quickly fire one up to Kate Charlesworth, who goes over the top to Peter Boardman, manages to toe that in on the back foot, quickly runs it in because 2 defenders went for it. Both ended up well out of bounds and on the ground. So an uncontested closure to that point. Boardman to Crosby for the score. MDC S.W.O.R.D 2, Hammertron Prime 1.
It's quite an early break in this match. Usually teams can take a few points to figure out the wind, figure out their opposition to start getting those break points.
And not only is it an early break, but it's an important one. These two teams are really going to go at it against each other throughout the course of this game, and those early breaks might make all the difference looking forward for the rest of the game.
And the pull is very close to the sideline, picked up by Kelly Carter, looking to swing at centre.
Manages to find Michael Downey, who threads across to Wilcock and back to Michael Downey in the middle of the zone. Doing a huge amount of work, trying to chip through. Wilcock to Wilson, to Jessie Preble. She's got a deep reset back to Kelly Carter. The classic super dump. Carter tries to air bounce one through to Melody Yong, but Swinson shuts it down. Another break opportunity here. James Crosby to Bender, to Ireland. Jessie Preble on the mark. Lets one go around to Crosby.
Oh, and it pops up in the wind, but he brings it down.
Wilson tries to take a bite, but Owen Sun does come down with it, resetting to Crosby, decides to try and test deep. Goes wide to Holly Mace, marked by Yong.
Swings it back to Zaria, Ireland.
Ireland to Yo. Wilcox slowly closing in. Is it going to be enough? No, he lets the reset go around. Ireland lasers one up to Sun right in front of the end zone. Another chippy.
Woohoo. And impressive hands by Bender.
Laylee Bender on a great upline cut, manages to reel that one in just in front of Kelly Carter. MDC S.W.O.R.D up by 2 now. Back-to-back breaks for MDC S.W.O.R.D. Hammertron are going to need an answer if they want to stay in this game. A rocky start for the Hammertron side. Maybe feeling the pressure here, really hungry for a win after that final pool loss against Credo. Coming out firing, maybe need to dial in some of those option taking and decision making skills. So we saw one upline attempt that was crowded by a defender in position, was able to eat that up, recognizing the window was going to keep that disc low. And again, just there, trying to thread one straight past Tessa Swinson. So maybe a questionable choice there. Hopefully Hammertron Prime are able to reel that one in, start making some better decisions.
A team like MDC will have the experience to bid on anything that is not completely open. So they will also have the experience to poach a little bit, knowing that they can make up that distance. The Hammertron will really have to make sure those options are open before throwing that disc.
Especially in conditions like these. Wind is going to dictate a lot of how what throws are going to be easy to make and how quickly they are going to be to make. The disc goes out of bounds. Looks like it will be bricked by Hamish Furness, supported by Finn Collins. Hammertron playing out of that 2-3-2 hexagon offensive structure. Bertram, Ball, and Yong in the middle line. Barker, Gibson and Dolan forming a cup. Furnish allowed to go backwards. Finds a hole through the middle to Michael Downey. A little flash mark to keep the defense moving. Treads one through to Simone Ball, but back to Downey. Goes around to Furness. Chips through. Quick whip of a forehand fake. Manages to shift the defense, but he's forced to go back and around. It's Yong on the far sideline, back to Ball. Straight back to Michael Downey. Laser beam through to Furness.
Finding all of the holes in this zone.
Nice offload to Finn Collins, and a beautiful little chip cut through by Michael Downey, but the call is going to be made as to whether or not it was travelled in.
It was very hard to see what his feet were doing there.
Looks like they'll call that one a point. Hammertron Prime back in it, only a 1-point game. Time to send out the defense and see what they're able to do. S.W.O.R.D in response. They'll want to put some of those offensive powerhouses, although with such a lean roster at the moment, we'll probably be seeing a lot of the same faces throughout this game. Yo, Crosby, Stevenson, Mace, Bender, Charlesworth, Swinson.
Don't forget Ireland.
Who could possibly forget Zaria Ireland?
I hadn't heard of her before uni games, and then after that, that is really hard to forget play like that.
Absolutely.
I remember Badgers going up against AUC, and they thought they'd be cheeky, put a male mark on her to try and shut her down. He ended up getting his ankle broken.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. Zaria Ireland really is one of those really aggressive and really like physical players. They have a large presence on the field. Getting burned by Zaria Ireland once might seem like an accident, but the second or third time it happens, you kind of resign yourself to, oh, this is just how it's going to be. But again, yeah, Yo, Ireland, Bender, Mace, Sun, Stevenson, Crosby on the offensive line. Finn Collins with a huge pull. There's a lot of float. Looks like might fade out towards the right-hand far sideline. Enough edge to bring it back in. Crosby to pick up early. Finn Collins pressures the mark. Puts one through to Bender, to Ireland. Ball shuts down the continuation. Stall count getting a little high. Chips across to Laylee Bender. Taylor forces to just go back to Ireland and across the field to Crosby. Marked out by Collins. Mace is a reset on the break side. It's not going to come through. Bender left alone. Stevenson's got it. Marked by Wilcock. Has to put up a big shot as the count goes high. Collins chasing Crosby. Crosby comes down with it.
Impressive grab by Crosby.
James Crosby getting huge. This MDC S.W.O.R.D line picking up a lot of Auckland University Ultimate Club Flood alumni. We've seen Crosby, Charlesworth, Boardman, Dolan all playing for Flood in the past. It's little wonder they're putting on as strong a performance in this tournament as they are, going back up 2 points over Hammertron Prime. James Crosby, really a secure bailout option. The stall count was getting high. Wilcock putting a lot of pressure on that mark against Stevenson. Eventually he just had to pull the trigger and let one rip. It had a lot of high angle to it. It was definitely curving back towards the far sideline. And I guess the trust was just there that James Crosby was going to get a read on it, put his hands up underneath it to come down with it for the score. Downey, Hooverland, Preble, Taiapa, Carter, Wilcock, and Kapoor. A formidable offensive line. Yo with the pull, he sends it long. Touches down, out of bounds, so that'll be bricked. Michael Downey to bring the disc to center field.
Very close to just landing at the back corner of the end zone.
Barker to start the defense. Nice, easy reset straight back to Lucas Wilcock. Tries to crash through that cup, but Charles Smith shuts down the first one, not able to stop the second one. Tie up on the near sideline. Feeds one through the breadbasket. Really close, chippy throws. Wilcock, Taiapa, Downey, putting in a lot of work, goes wide, finds Kelly Carter, continues wide again despite a great bid by Ian Stewart. Finds Lehigh Kapoor, goes back to Carter, back to Downey, Taiapa making himself available as an option. Anna Dolan wants to get another bite on that defense. Some great work through that cup, keeps the stall count low. Hammertron in possession. Michael Downey trying to quarterback the offense, trying to call for cuts that are going to be most advantageous for the team. Lehigh Kapoor has the disc. Kelly Carter, far sideline. Tessa Swinson hoping to get another bite on defense as well.
Hammertron has taken a few steps back so far with their offense, looking for the gaps in the zone.
Great work following the disc on the Hammertron side. Taiapa's got it.
Making some movement up the sideline.
Goes back, finds Downey again. Really pinned down by the MDC S.W.O.R.D defense. Kapoor's got the disc.
Oh, safe hands.
Great work by Downey, keeping that one in hand. Where are the holes in the S.W.O.R.D defense? There don't look to be many. They're having to go back and around constantly. There's the big shot for Lehigh Kapoor, comes off the fingertips. That's the turn that S.W.O.R.D need, hoping to make it 5-2. But that is exactly what a zone wants to do. They want to pressure the offense, frustrate them into taking a low percentage throw. And in this case, a nice blade to curve around the zone might have been a good option, but the wind is a little unstable. It's not going to help.
Oh, that one goes up. And it's cleaned up by Wilcox.
Looks like a call was made on the reception. Michael Downey bidding early for that disc over the top of Peter Boardman, but that contact is going to have impacted Mr. Boardman's ability to make the play. And so despite great heads-up vision to close that one out by Wilcock, the disc might end up going back. So just a reminder for those watching at home, it is a non-contact sport and it's also self-officiated, so players have to make calls and resolve them themselves, which is what we're seeing happen here. So the question may be, after the first attempt at the disc, which went a little high, would Peter Boardman have had an opportunity to catch it had there not been contact with Michael Downey? And it looks like they'll be contesting that call. So players unable to come to an agreement means it'll go back to the last uncontested play. And so it will be Lee Yo with the disc on the near sideline, marked up by Lehigh Kapoor wearing Tokay cleats. Very, very comfortable. It's almost like you're just wearing sneakers with a little extra grip. We'll also see a couple of other players on the Hammertron Prime line picking up some nice Tokays.
Are we sponsored by the shoe company?
We are not, but I have had some really good dealings with them, and I actually own a pair of Tokays myself. I love them. Best cleats I've ever owned. If they want to pay me, they're more than welcome to. But in the meantime, I'll just give them a shout out on stream when I see good footwear. So just waiting for the disc to come back in. Yo managed to get the reset to Boardman this time. Downey aggressive on the mark. Boardman has to let one rip. He's looking for Ian Stewart. But the wind pushes that one down and a stall out was called. And it looks like that stall count was accepted. So players have 10 seconds once they have possession of the disc as counted by their opposition to release control of the disc, or it's an automatic turnover. Think of it a little like the shot clock in basketball. The argument being that Michael Downey counted 10 before Boardman released the disc. So that's a turnover. It's accepted by Peter Boardman. So possession goes to Hammertron. Taiapa to pick up, marked by Barker. Early reset to Kelly Carter. Tries to get body position for another continuation. It's not going to happen. There's not a lot of support for Taiapa. He has to look straight back to Wilcock and back to Taiapa. To Kapora cross. Touch by Charlesworth. Kate Charlesworth with the block for DC, giving possession back to S.W.O.R.D. Yo to Barker to Boardman, marked by Taiapa. Puts the big shot up, looking for Yo in the deep space. Downey's closing. Who's going to come down with it? It is Lee Yo for the score. MDC S.W.O.R.D up by 3. They are widening the gap. It is up to Hammertron to keep themselves in this game. They cannot trust S.W.O.R.D to make mistakes. They need to start generating turns of their own, not allowing the opposition to make those errors for them. A really well floated throw out to Lee Yo. Wide open in the space. Great attempt to close that gap by Downey, but it's just not going to be enough. Really well-timed throw to put that one out into the end zone.
You do really appreciate it when a handler makes that throw so suitable for their offender and they place it just in their offender's breadbasket. You can really help your receivers out by positioning the disc in front of them, particularly if you can get it such that they are between the disc and their defender.
Yeah, an offender using their body to shield the disc from the defender is a key skill that handlers have. So really solid handlers like Peter Boardman, as we saw, putting the disc out in a position where any play that Michael Downey might have wanted to make on the disc would have had to have gone through Lee Yo, and it wasn't going to happen. Great positioning by the receiver there. It's a non-contact sport. Players have to try and avoid making contact where possible. And a Crosby with the big pull. It edges down early and's got a lot of rolls. Going to get caught by the wind. Furness threads through to Kelly Carter. Little air bounce to Aroha Hughes, who was very kind enough to join me to help talk about the final for the Division 2 Mixed Ultimate Championships last weekend in Papamoa. Hamish Furness with the disc now. Simone ball back to Furness through the center of that cup from the MDC zone. Carter's got it. Threads another one through to Hughes. Some great work moving the disc. To ball with a big fake, comes wide, finds Furness. Another one through to Hughes, just doing a great job of picking apart that S.W.O.R.D defense almost by herself. She's going to get open again. But it's ball back to Furness, back to Carter. Downey trying to make a cut now, really trying to pressure the zone. Ball back to Carter again.
At this point, Hammertron just has to keep being patient, keep swinging that disc, because the way they're moving, they can walk it across the line if they have to.
Finn Collins near sideline, and exactly as you say, Lydia, eventually that zone is going to open up. They're going to leave a hole. And the question is, who's going to be there to score it? And how long is it going to take Hammertron Prime to chip that one up? Ball's got it. Back to Hughes, despite a great bid from Ireland. Back to ball again to Collins. Looking for a gap, finds Downey far sideline. Straight through to Kelly Carter for the score. You love to see it. Prime back within 2. The score currently 5-3 in favor of MDC S.W.O.R.D.
That was incredible patience by Hammertron, knowing that they couldn't take any of those tempting, risky, over-the-top options in this wind with the MDC defense. Just taking their time, working it around, waiting for the right hole at the right time.
Great patience by the Hammertron offense, as you say. Just slowly working their way around that zone. Hammertron to come back on defense now. A necessary break opportunity here for them if they can get it to bring it back to a 1-point game. Yes. Tan, Moriho Cookson Frost, Hogan, Doherty, Ball and Taylor. Facing down against Dolan, Yo, Boardman, Charlesworth, Crosby, Mace, and Swinson.
The disc goes up.
Oh, you can
Lifted
see
and
the
dropped by
impact
the
that the
wind.
wind has. Yo picks up to initiate early, finds Boardman center field. Hammertron coming down with the zone defense. Moruhu Cookson pressuring the mark. Yo comes to the near sideline. Finds Charlesworth, pressured down by Hogan. Great upline by Yo, puts one long. Taylor in hot pursuit, but Swinson's underneath it. And a great score by Tessa Swinson.
Incredible grab, but was she in?
So Emma Taylor's looking like she's calling that one out, but Crystal Tan calling it in. So that's going to be a score as the out call is retracted. MDC S.W.O.R.D going back up by 3. Great work by Tessa Swinson to reel that one in. Huge play by Tessa Swinson for the Auckland side. Some great work there. MDC S.W.O.R.D only 2 points away from taking half.
Tessa Swinson taking the time to think about her footwork even when leaping bounds into the air. Really incredible work.
Now, body awareness is one of the hallmarks of a great deep receiver. You've got someone who recognizes that their speed and momentum might carry them out of the end zone, and it's those players who have the kind of awareness to keep that back foot down, to keep that toe drag within bounds, and making sure that they maintain contact with the pitch as they secure control of the disc. And Swinson displayed that beautifully. Hammertron to come out on offense. Preble, Wilcock the Elder, Michael Downey, Kelly Carter, Lehigh Kapoor, Manny Tapa, and Melody Yong. Boardman with a huge left-handed backhand pull, fading towards the near sideline. Going to touchdown just in bounds. Great pull by Boardman. Early center. Downey to Wilcock. Ignoring the zone defense. Bender shuts down the upline reset. Downey goes back to Kelly Carter. Swings wide across to Wilcock, all the way through to Taiapa, back to Wilcock. A little less offense, a little more keep away by the looks of things. Hammertron not afraid to make 30, 40, 50 passes in order to score. Downey's got it.
They've done it before.
Sends a nice inside-out shot, looking for Taiapa in the end zone.
Oh, and
Huge
a finger's
touch.
breadth away.
Huge touch on the backhand. A ridiculous throw, really low release, inside-out backhand to curve through the shape of the MDC S.W.O.R.D zone. But it will give possession back to S.W.O.R.D. They might have the opportunity to break here.
Just a
Put
little
another one on the
bit
board.
too much edge on that disc. But impressive trace by both players as well.
Huge chase by Taiapa to get a hand on it. Very, very impressive. Unfortunately, not enough. It'll be Boardman to initiate. Ireland as a reset option, a little on the wide side. Yong hoping to shut that one down. Barker on an undercut. Lehigh Kapoor pressures it. The attention shifts on the defense. Ireland's able to close in, get the disc, send it back to Boardman, keep the stall count low. Owen Sun near sideline now. 66 on 77. Boardman takes the skies to pull that one down. Ian Stewart has the disc on the far side. Wilcock closes in.
Finds Chris Barker in the middle.
Back through to Owen Sun, across to Ireland. Puts a forehand up, but it's fading towards the right-hand sideline. Crosby's momentum carries her out, but the disc is considered inbounds. Puts another one up, finds Bender. Right on the doorstep, an opportunity to close here for MDC S.W.O.R.D. Bender under pressure, goes back to Ireland and high and around. Marked by
not
Yong.
to send the hammer. So
Fakes a
everyone's
second
just-
one. Looks for Owen Sun, puts one up for Bender.
And
There it
impressive
is.
hands.
Laylee Bender with a nice upline cut. Gets the around forehand from Owen Sun for the score, taking S.W.O.R.D one within half. A timeout has been called. Too many points on the bounce for MDC. I mean, Prime need to take a moment to recenter themselves, to really think what they need to do to shut down MDC S.W.O.R.D. As impressive as they have been in this game, it is important to remember that they are just people. They are just people, they are just players. Prime have the depth to test them, but we haven't seen it in this match yet. We need something to get those engines firing. We saw a huge amount of intensity from Prime in the previous game they had against Credo to conclude pool play. Seems like their loss on Universe in that match has kind of left them a little bit flat for this match, which is probably not doing their fans justice, but is really buoying and lifting for the MDC S.W.O.R.D team, who are walking away with the first half of this match.
I think it is really rough, though. They have come off the back of 2 losses today. Particularly, you're right, that Credo game, they looked like they were fighting it back with a break to take it to Universe Point, but they couldn't quite get it across the line. I'd say they're still running it incredibly hard. That smooth offense we saw earlier did show that they have still got it. I think the problem is all it takes is one turn and MDC over here are scoring straight away. It doesn't matter where on the field they have to take it from. And they're asking Hammertron Prime to really retain possession and really keep it clean if they want to beat MDC.
Yeah, these conditions are definitely favouring the control that MDC exhibit over the desk. With that wind, those throws are going a little bit errant, and it seems like MDC just have a few more maybe like dialed in options, particularly on those resets and those rounds, and even some of those long options. Prime will have to make quite a few adjustments to claw themselves back into this game. Currently down by 4 as we break the huddles. Only 1 point away from halftime, potentially. Michael Downey, Simone Ball, Hamish Furness, Aroha Hughes, Crystal Tan, Lucas Wilcock to take the line for the Hammertron offense for what they hope to be the first in a series of strings of points to put together in this match and keep them in it. On the flip side, Swinson, Yo, Crosby, Barker, Boardman, Charlesworth, and Mace. A very, very dangerous defensive squad to face down against in any situation, least of all when you're down 4, 1 point away from giving up half to the opposition. Yo sends it high and long.
Another
Furness backing up.
pull.
Lets it touch down just in the back of the end zone. A dangerous place to be. He's able to walk it up because the disc ended up out of bounds, but he's still pinned down in that first corner by Charlesworth. Manages to find a reset, and Michael Downey goes to center field to find Ball. Back to Downey, back to Ball. Some nice chip work, snatching away from a great bid by Peter Boardman. Furness on the near sideline, laser beam through to Wilcock, who tumbles it very close to their own end zone. This is exactly what S.W.O.R.D were hoping for to take half. Barker pressured by Frost. Can he shut him down? Boardman in front of Wilcock with the disc. Signaling for Yo as a comfortable reset. Furness wants to shut down the continuation, manages to do it. Yo still has the disc. He looks back, finds Peter Boardman. Some great work switching the players on the mark here, really trying to minimize the amount of work Hammertron Prime have to do. Yo finds Charlesworth center field with the disc, marked by Hughes. Yo making himself available as a reset option, but it goes to Peter Boardman, marked by Furness. Puts up forehand up to Barker. And the huge bid by Frost. Beautiful and clean. It goes up. We get to see it again. Spooks him just enough. Barker tries a little 180 as he grabs the disc. It's not going to be there. It tumbles out of his hands.
And that is why you bid for it, even if you think you don't have a hope in hell of touching it.
No easy passes seems to be the word on the field from Jaden Frost. We saw some huge plays from him on defense and on offense in the previous game against Credo.
Some incredible layout defense from him.
Absolutely, but Hamish, Furness
And that
Throws
wind is punishing.
A great hammer across, even in these conditions, to Wilcock. Tries to pass on for a continuation to Tan, but it comes away from the hands. Yo has the desk on the sideline, just about parallel with the brick mark. We are in the red zone. One potential pass away from closing this out. Looks like they may be trying to isolate James Crosby. The timing's a little early. Frost shuts down that up line. Swinson in front of ball, but it's not going to come away. The stall count's getting high. Charlesworth tumbles it. Furness has it. Tan's going deep. He wants to rip. He puts it, but it gets touched off the hands of Crosby. A great aggressive play. It's not going to be enough. The defense is just too tight. Frost slowly closing it down. Mace on an under. Given the reset. Aroha Hughes now trying to pressure that one. Generating that turn, hopefully. Frost on Yo. It's a nice matchup to see. He's keeping the stall count high. Goes wide to Swinson. Frost so agile, so nimble, trying to shut down those resets. It's Yo on the sideline, pinned down. Hughes isn't going to let Mace have it again, but it's Barker now. Downey with a great bid causes Barker to leave his feet a little early. He's not able to adjust in time. Furness puts a laser beam up to Michael Downey, puts one through to Lucas Wilcock, touches down just outside of the end zone and calls a timeout.
Oh, this is exciting for Hammertron Prime.
A veteran move and a necessary point, possibly the best called timeout of the tournament. 1 point away from half, inches away from keeping themselves in the game. So Hammertron will have the option to set up an isolation of some sort, or at least some structure to get their players in a position to score.
And really make sure that the disc goes across the line this time.
Yeah. We will be back relatively shortly after the conclusion of this timeout. That great option. Huge bid by Frost. A little windmill block attempt. Barker's not able to get it. Two great big bids from Hammertron, shutting down Barker. Beautiful to see. Otherwise, a really secure receiver. So it's amazing to see the intensity on defense that's stopping that from coming away.
Hammertron really have brought their defense to this point, and it's incredible to see. I don't think they've got quite as many turns in any other points out of NDCs. But they've really just stepped it up and said, you want to score easily? Not today.
Yeah. Huge amount of intensity from these players. And then a couple of quick passes. 1, 2, and there's our timeout, which catches us up. Timeout running just a little long, so we'll be back very shortly. And we are back. Players taking position on the field. Lucas Wilcock with the disc, pinned down on the sideline by Chris Barker, Charlesworth, and Peter Boardman. Michael Downey in a great opportunity for an isolation cut, but there are 4 players between him and the disc. Hamish Furness is a safety reset, left alone, not seen as a threat by Crosby. That's the pass that goes away. We so wide to Simone Ball. Straight back to Furness, taking a few yards as we can. And that's Wilcock again in the zone, taking us 4-7. Some really smart play by Hammertron outside of the zone. Swing wide to the far sideline while the disc is on the other side of the field, and all of the attention is on the other side of the field. Wilcock takes 2 steps behind him. The disc trusted to move faster than the player. Just like that. Again, another unnecessary kick spike from number 31, Lucas Wilcock. But great vision there. Just the classic misdirect, the Kansas City shuffle. You look left, I go right. And as soon as the disc goes one way, 2 steps into the end zone, setting himself up for a great swing back and a score, a 3-point game. MDC 1 hold now away from taking half, but as you said, Lydia, Hammertron really have started to pick up their defense over the last couple of points.
Yes, so it will be interesting to see if they let MDC have another clean hold or if they get a turn during this point.
And it's going to be Yo, Anna Crosby, Zaria Ireland, James Crosby, Anna Dolan, Claire Gibson, and Troy Stevenson to take the line for the MDC Sword offense. 2 Annas, 2 Crosbys. Big pull from Kelly Carter, got a lot of float from the wind, it's going to help. Takes it deep, touches down, picked up by Crosby. Recenters to Ireland, marked by Simone Ball. Tan looking to shut down Anna Dolan, does a great job of it, but as she looks for the next threat, Anna Dolan's still available. Has the disc on the near sideline. Simone Ball shuts down the upline. Really great pressure, but Crosby's able to get free. Puts a big shot up. Dolan might be there for it, looking for half. What a grab.
What a read.
What a read, what a throw. James Crosby to Anna Dolan for the 8th MDC sword point and the half. A great run, a great score. Still anybody's game, but at the moment it is Sword up by up by 4 at the end of the first half. In the first of our streamed quarterfinal matches, MDC Sword versus Hammertron Prime, coming towards the end of the second day of our tournament, the 2022 New Zealand Division 1 Mixed Ultimate Championships. What a fantastic, we're going to get to see it again. There it is, the beautiful forehand of James Crosby as it curves back in. And just as you were saying before, Lydia, talking about how handlers able to put disc in such a way that the defender doesn't get a play. All of the defenders were directly behind Anna Dolan as she made that. Unless the wind had pushed that up over her, they wouldn't have had a clean bid on it. A really well executed throw, a really great play to finish the half on. We will be back with you for the conclusion of this thrilling match relatively soon. But until then, my name is Blair Monroe.
And my name's Lydia Smith.
Thank you very much to ULTI.TV for bringing us the first half, and we'll see you soon. And we are back for the opening pull of the second half. Huge shot for the first of our streamed quarterfinals. Hammertron Prime versus MDC S.W.O.R.D in the 2022 Division 1 Mixed Ultimate Championships. We've got James Crosby puts a short hammer over the top to Troy Stevenson on the far sideline. A nice little forehand up line to James Crosby.
Troy Stevenson coming back to collect it back off him.
Holly Mace trying to make a cut into space, pressured by Emma Taylor. Stevenson might have to go around. Goes upline instead, finds James Crosby just inbounds. Well within his scoring range. A left backhand over the top to Anna Crosby. Great work there, keeping the disc in hands. Finds Zaria Ireland. Pressured by Hogan, two young stars, really giving everything. The reset to Stevenson goes away. Connor Doherty can't stop the around. Ireland puts one. An unintentional nutmeg on Holly Mace, giving possession back to Hammertron. Finn Collins to pick up. We are going to see MDC play out of a zone defense. Simone Ball pops one just past. A very impressive bid by MDC S.W.O.R.D, but it's Yo and Ireland making collisions with one another that allow the Hammertron offense to slip through. Finn Collins available as a reset, goes wide to Emma Taylor in the center field. A big fake shifts the defense back to Collins. Great work there to keep the disc in hand. One of the Pirates going high, but Connor's the only one who comes down with it. Mr. Doherty, quick chip pass across to Tan on the far sideline. It is one of the dangers having a player like Zaria Ireland on the wing of a zone like this. If you try and go around, she's very quick to lay out and put body on the line for a block. So great work, great patience working through and going around to find Collins on the far sideline. Bender's hair has come untied. She's going Super Saiyan. Real aggressive pressure on that defense. Generates a turn for MDC S.W.O.R.D, wanting to put the first point on the board out of the second half. Players slowing down a bit. Yo to pick up and initiate. Chips across to Zaria Ireland. A backhand to the near sideline for Mace.
Ooh. And a layout, but not quite across the line yet.
Emma Taylor trying to give everything to force it back. It's Yo against Frost right on the doorstep. Chip back to Ireland. An amazing grab by Yo, puts a flat hammer in. Crosby for the score. MDC S.W.O.R.D up by another one. It is currently 9-4 in favor of S.W.O.R.D, a game to 15. 50 minutes or so left on the clock. 6 points away from a S.W.O.R.D victory. 11 points away from a prime win and an advancement to the semi-finals. Only one of these teams is going to make our top 4 for the tournament.
Yes, he really pushed that hammer straight through the wind. Oh, that's not good to see.
Great vision though, and just great intensity from DC S.W.O.R.D, willing to commit the bodies to the line. We see Ireland's layout grab again. Quick to step up. Yo with an almost impossible grab. Sees Crosby put her hands up. Throws the hammer completely unmarked. Pulls it down despite great closure by Tan to try and get into position to make a play. Not going to come off. And it's going to be Boardman with the disc for the pull with Charlesworth, Sun, Dolan, Swinson, Barker, and Crosby.
And the pull is high and has a lot of float.
Great pull by the leggy lefty. As towards the end of its flight, it starts to fade back towards center field, so it's not able to be fielded by Hamish Furness for an early initiation. The defense has time to have the pressure on. Huvelan and Young. They have to go back across the field to Michael Downey as the zone looks to close in. Hamish Furness has the disc, waiting for an opening in the zone, has to go wide to find Melody Young.
Fakes the hammer, chooses the swing.
The wind picking up, it's getting a lot more gusty. Furness, Downey. Wilcock making himself available as an overhead option, knowing he can beat Dolan on height, but
Yes.
the last time we saw that, it didn't go
And
their
he
way, but Wilcock
puts it.
uncorks one, looking for Houvelant in the deep space.
Oh.
Just shy of being able to run that one down. A great bid. And really a great throw, just a little bit of miscommunication. The timing wasn't quite there. But a great look for Hammertron to put a score on the board in the second half. Giving the disc back to Owen Sun. Gets a bid from Wilcock to open up the space. Crosby has it, centre field, marked by Michael Downey. Kapoor trying to shut down the reset of Peter Boardman. They go wide to Barker. Furness close off the continuation. Great pressure from the defense, forcing those short passes, those lateral resets instead of long options. Crosby manages to find Sun in the midfield.
Looks for Barker again on the sideline. Looking centre. Still waiting for his reset. And Crosby.
Boardman just towing that one in. But it looks like a call's been made as to whether or not it was in or out. And we might get the chance to see it. Unclear from our perspective whether or not his toe is on the ground. A great play either way, but it looks like they won't contest it. They'll accept the out call, possession going back to Hammertron as the wind dies down. The disc checked in, players free to move. Yong, Preble, Kapoor as options with Furness pinned down on the sideline. Some long arms trying to get in his way of those long shots. Kapoor to Furness to Wilcock to Furness again. It's almost like tick-a-tack football. Back to Wilcock to Preble. Wilcock hoping for better position. He unleashes another one, looking for Downey over Sun. But Sun is the one who comes down with it.
And it looks like there's no call to be made, but
Great cut by Crosby, but it's not going to get us there. As the turn goes back the other way, Furness bends it all the way around to Kapoor. Houvelant! What a grab! Straight back to Michael Downey. It's those Tokay cleats really doing the most. Houvelant's got it. A big fake, comes back centre field for Kapoor. Preble available as an option on the near side. Quick shot to Yong. A laser beam through to Houvelant, but it comes off the fingertips.
so
Prime
close.
really struggling in terms of focus this half by the looks of things. Crosby to initiate, marked by Kapoor. Boardman as a reset. Dolan making another cut. Crosby
And
puts
he
one long,
sends
but there's a
it.
lot of edge to it. Who's going to come down? Tessa
Tessa.
Swinson. Straight to Charlesworth as an option before pushing deep. A lot of pressure on the disc. There's no easy reset until she goes back to find Boardman. Back again for Crosby. Downey trying to shut down the next pass. It's the high forehand for Barker. The wind's underneath it. Who's going to come down? It's going to be Owen Sun.
A little bit of skybox there. Ooh.
Downey with what looked like a clean block. No call made by Barker on that reset. Great work by Michael Downey, receiving the disc out wide on the near sideline.
And that's a no signal from his downfielders going long.
Goes around to Furness, puts one wide for Preble. Pulls it down over Crosby. Kapoor's got it far sideline. Downey not able to keep that one in hand. DC about to break double digits if they can hold it together for the next few passes. A bad place to lose possession of the disc. Boardman's got it. Forced to reset.
This strong wind is really starting to impact throws.
Looks like there was some contact the way that the pivot moved on the defense. So they're just having a bit of a conversation about that one. Unsure exactly what happened there. But the reset to Sun, back to Boardman, goes away without too much effort. Back to Sun, approaching the near sideline. Doherty Wilcock putting the pressure on.
And
Boardman with a laser beam to Dolan for the score. S.W.O.R.D up by 6 now as we close out the first hour of the match. Huge grab, huge play.
And such a solid throw in this wind.
Yeah, an absolute laser beam. Just slicing through the gaps in the Hammertron defense for MDC S.W.O.R.D to pick up yet another point.
Wilcock showing that he's not afraid to put those forehands up, but his receivers will have to figure out how to come out best against Owen Sun.
Yeah, Owen Sun. And we've not only have we seen him with a huge block over here, but up the left-hand side of your screen where they were just about to score, there was a huge air ball, a lot of players underneath it. And again, it was Owen Sun who came down with it. Swinson on the reception here. Back to Charlesworth. There is the air ball over the head of Barker. Everyone goes up, but only Owen Sun comes down with it. And then Michael Downey aggressive on the defense to generate the turn back the other way, but the point still went to MDC. Yo puts one a lot lower than you'd expect him to. Skids to stop around the brick mark in the Hammertron defensive half. Finn Collins lets one rip.
Oh!
A huge bid by Frost.
So close too. He had
But it's going to be stripped by the ground. Absolute heartbreak. Would have been a great option there. Yo resets to Ireland. Puts one through to Holly Mace.
Finds Crosby again.
A little high forehand blade to just get around the defense. Yo's got it. Puts one up. Furness over Stewart.
Oh.
Great work there. Huge pressure by Hamish Furness to generate the turn there for Prime. A real tight cup on display. Holly Mace, aggressive on the mark. Has to go back to find Kelly Carter. Through to Finn Collins. Back to Carter. Simone Ball available as a reset. Aroha Hughes crashing in, hoping for a reset. It's not going to be an option. Finn Collins goes wide to Simone Ball, but in the wind, it's not able to be read. That's a turnover. S.W.O.R.D hoping to put an 11th point on the board, walking it right up to the front of the end zone. An opportunity for a real strong isolation play, figuring out who amongst the 7 on the line has the best individual matchup. Chances are we're going to see Zaria Ireland making some moves on this next possession. And as you can see, we have that exact thing set up.
Doesn't even have to move.
And there is the 11th point of the game for S.W.O.R.D. 11 over Hammertron Prime's 4 in this game to 15. In the first of our streamed quarterfinals in the 2022 Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships.
We do have another foot spike.
It's almost like they don't realize they have to still play with the disc after they've scored the point.
Yeah, it's like they think they have an infinite bucket of more discs.
I'm sure Canterbury Ultimate won't be too happy to hear that players are treating their game discs as though there's an infinite supply. But it's going to be MDC S.W.O.R.D to come out on defense now. Hogan, Morihu Cookson, ball, Huvilan. Taiapa, Wilcock, and Yong to be the 7 offenders for Hammertron Prime to come down, hopefully putting another point on the board. The margin still very, very widely in favor of S.W.O.R.D. This is a must-win game for both of these teams if they want to advance in the tournament to the top 4.
Oh, sorry for that. We are losing some objects off the commentary table with this wind.
Bender with the pull. It goes up and out of bounds in the MDC S.W.O.R.D defensive half, so we're probably not going to see the disc bricked this time. As long as Hammertron Prime are able to work it off the sideline, there's a very short field for them ahead if they want to score. Coming out in that characteristic Hex defense, you've got Wilcock to pick up the disc, supported behind him by Ball and Hogan. Taiapa in the center field, probably to initiate, and Morihu Cookson on the near sideline. Puts a big shot up, looking for Huvilan. And it's Owen Sun again, coming up with it deep.
Yes, Owen Sun is proving himself truly valuable to MDC in the deep space.
Boardman with the disc. Threads through to Barker, marked by Wilcock,
Are we going
able to get the backhand off.
Oh. They chased it through to the end, but it went out.
Great chase down by Sun, but he's not going to come away with it this time. Taiapa right on his shoulder the entire time. Now Prime have an opportunity to work back upfield. But those deep shots are going to be contested, every single one of them, by number 66 for MDC S.W.O.R.D, Owen Sun. And Charlesworth on the mark. Disc moves through to Maringi Hogan. Some nice Hammertron give and go just to really pressure the zone. Goes wide, find Morihu Cookson. Big fake to shift Boardman. Ball to Morihu Cookson. Ball to Wilcock. Morihu Cookson. Taiapa with an undercut, trying to make himself an option. It's not going to come. Finds Wilcock center field, the zone shifting around. Ball on the far sideline. Morihu Cookson has it. Hogan as an option. Faked off. A little too close for the reset to be safe. Morihu Cookson gets it back. Yong through to Ball again. The zone forcing a lot of short passes. Hammertron taking their time making ground. Ball has it just inbounds. Puts one up for Wilcock. Barker slowly closes in the trap. The hammer fake, he puts it up anyway, looking for Huvilan again. Finds her comfortably.
Catch.
A great catch by Huvilan. Goes back to Morihu Cookson. Hogan, Ball. Near sideline for Wilcock. Puts a big shot up, but there's a lot of blade on it. Taiapa cuts inside Sun for the score. That's exactly what Hammertron needed. Huge cut wide. If we get to see that line again, that's great offensive brilliance. Really pushing towards Sun's blind spot.
Some epic throws and catches during that offense for Hammertron.
Yeah, great find by Wilcock to find Huvilan. You can see Taiapa hard on the right shoulder. Quick jab step to get Sun out of position. Cuts inside for a score. Absolutely textbook. Really, really good heads-up offensive awareness to recognize where the defender's attention is. So well done by Huvelan to field that so comfortably, and great movement by Taiapa to open that space up for the score and make the conclusion of that point a comfortable and a safe one. That said, it's still 11-5. That was a very long point. We are only about 30 minutes away from our soft cap. MDC S.W.O.R.D, a relatively short path to victory if they're able to string together a series of points. Hammertron Prime have a much longer path ahead of them. But if they can keep playing with the intensity they displayed on that last point, there's little doubt they'll be able to close that margin.
And the pull goes up. We have a nice floaty pull, giving the defense time to run it down.
Crosby to Ireland as the zone starts to settle in.
Finds Dolan.
Yep. Marked by Emma Taylor on the near sideline.
Looking back to Ireland. Pops it over. Who looks back to Dolan and gains some meters.
Really good offensive position here
Back
for
to
Dolan.
Ireland, to Dolan again.
Looks like they're running a female dominator, focusing on those female matchups. Stevenson to Ireland, out to Dolan. Fingertips not low enough to catch the bottom rim as the disc approaches the turf. We get to see again. It's a great put, just needed another few centimeters of height on the release point for Dolan to score that one. So Hamish Furness has the disc in the corner right in front of his own end zone, trying to shift Yo. Breaks across to Kent Wilcock, pushes across to Hamish Furness, puts one high up for Tam, but it's going to fade a little too far to the left. Great territory though, nonetheless. There's going to be a few meters gained, an opportunity for Hammertron to play some really aggressive defense if they want the disc back. It's a real solid line drive, only fading away at the last few meters. Doherty lets the reset go to Ireland. Shuts down the upline though. Crosby has to go back the other way. Stevenson, secure hands. He fires a long one looking for Yo. Furnish in hot pursuit. Hogan as well for support. A little bit of a shoulder bump, no call made. Yo went early into Furness and Furness was able to come down with it. Looks like a cheeky tackle. Furness running so fast his hat comes off. Playing a bit of a dominator of his own. Ball back to Taylor. Furness wide open in the deep space. Comes back under.
And up it goes.
Taylor with an option looking for Hogan. She's got it. That's the score. Hammertron Prime back within 5.
That is their first break of the match.
I'm not sure if it's the first break of the match, but it's definitely a crucial one. In the immortal words of one of the greatest poets of our time, who run the world? Girls.
True words of wisdom.
Absolutely. Sisters are, in fact, doing it for themselves. Taylor with a long shot up for Hogan. A great score for Hammertron Prime. A great way to answer the female-led dominator point that MDC just played.
Yes, it is great watching the way that both of these teams have really strong mixed sets where they are willing to let whoever needs to do the work do the work.
A great long option. Great chase by Holly Mace, but it's not going to be enough. Hammertron to send out the defensive line again. Furness, Taylor, Hughes, Ball, Collins, Murihu Cookson and Frost against Gibson, Charlesworth, Boardman, Bender, Crosby, Stevenson and Yo. The wind starting to pick up a lot again. It's a bit of a cross breeze. Although it's quite changeable. There's sort of an inconsistent upwind, downwind, swapping in and out for cross breeze. We seem to be right in the middle of a gusty area. Finn Collins with the pull. Low and towards the far sideline. He's going to touch down and skip. Crosby has to rush to pick it up. A little bit of a scramble, but he gets the reset away to Boardman. Marked down by Frost, finds Crosby far sideline. Murihu Cookson applying pressure on defense. Collins wants to shut down the reset to Stevenson. Claire Gibson with a great undercut across to Emma Taylor. Charlesworth takes to the ground to keep that one in hand. Fires a reset off to Crosby. Yo manages to get away from Furness. Puts it high and wide across to Stevenson. Collins big enough to stop that long shot going. There's the forehand. Furness in hot pursuit. So is Taylor, but it looks like Yo's going to come down with it. And that takes us to 12 over Hammertron Prime's 6. A great effort there by Yo to chase that one down. Great work by MDC to keep the game wide. That last second switch mark by Collins opens up the forehand as an option for Yo. Great shot by Stevenson. Big fake. It's interesting to see in slow motion. You can tell from our perspective when a player's not committing to throwing that long shot, but when you're right in front of the desk, it can be so much harder to make that judgment call.
Definitely. Especially when players get so strong at faking it. MDC is 3 points away from taking it out, or 15 minutes if they can hold out Hammertron Prime.
Barker with a big shot. You can see the impact the wind's having, pushing the disc up and down. Carter, ball, Downey. Working against Barker, Swinson and Boardman to really spearhead the defense. Downey goes over the top of the scuba to Taiapa. Swinson looks to close off the reset. It doesn't come. Has to bounce back to ball. Goes back center field, finds Kapoor wide open.
Considers the hammer, does not seem to...
Yeah, unwilling to test Tessa Swinson again. Kapoor at center field in a sea of S.W.O.R.D players. Looks back and finds Carter. Ball, a safe reset, comes wide to the near sideline for Taiapa. Straight through to ball again. Kelly Carter has to chase that one down, losing a lot of yards in the process. But possession of the disc is better than position. Fires a forehand across. Far sideline to Taiapa. Wilcox got it. Taiapa in hot pursuit of the disc. Swinson slightly out of position. Downey to Taiapa, puts a big forehand up, but there's too much behind it. The wind's going to carry it long, and despite the impressive foot speed of Lehigh Kapoor, he's not going to be able to chase that one down. Possession going back to MDC S.W.O.R.D, not what Hammertron need in a time like this. You love the ambition, you love the trust in the teammates to see someone deep with that space from their defender, but it's uncorking those big shots in wind like this. You just don't know how they're going to play out. Boardman Downey, a classic matchup throughout this game. Stewart tries to get involved, shut down by Kapoor. Taiapa managing to shut down.
Finds Barker in the middle of it.
And the reset to Ireland goes awry. This is what Hammertron need. Downey to pick up. Looks back to ball. Big fakes to move Barker. Downey's still got the disc. Nice one across to Kapoor for the score. Open. You love to see it. Hammertron Prime slowly closing the gap. It is 12-7. Tears of joy from the eyes of Lehigh Kapoor.
Wide open on the side there.
What a beautiful score. Typically in Ultimate, you never want to see a static receiver pick up the disc in the end zone. But sometimes they're just too available as an option.
Yes, I think particularly against a match, you don't want a static receiver because chances are the defender's not far off. But in a zone, if they genuinely haven't seen them or chosen to leave them that far open.
A huge point there for Hammertron Prime. A necessary break ahead of them. Every point matters from here on out. Doherty, Frost, Collins. Ball, Hughes, Tan, and Hogan for the defensive side for Hammertron Prime. Stevenson, Crosby, Yo, Charlesworth, Crosby again.
Again, that wind pushing the disc down.
Bender and Gibson. Mace manages to get it down despite double coverage from Ball and Hughes. Charlesworth has it. Not being given an easy shot, but finds one in Yo. Marked by Connor Doherty. No uplines coming. Connor Doherty scrambling to shut down the defense. Troy Stevenson has it. Just inbounds, puts a backhand up. Tan's got the pressure. Not enough, but it looks like it's been called out. So it looks like there may have been a call made and retracted. So that looks like that's going to be another score for MDC S.W.O.R.D, taking them within 2 of a victory. Great second bid by Charlesworth to keep that one in hands for S.W.O.R.D. Troy Stevenson with a big backhand.
Brilliant vision. And brilliant footwork by the receiver.
Yeah, well kept in. Yeah, comfortably in by Bender. Good retraction, a fair call made. MDC S.W.O.R.D within 2 of a place in the semi-finals, wanting to make the top 4 and a chance at a medal.
You have to wonder though if Chris Barker missed the message in the group chat about red shorts.
Well, one of the tournament regulations does specify that where players are wearing numbered shorts, they are supposed to match up with their shirt number. It could just be a case of better safe than sorry.
That is a strong point. I think a lot of teams do allow the black shorts, but those red ones are pretty iconic.
Anna Crosby with the big pull, fielded by Michael Downey to Simone Ball early. Furness on the near sideline. Dolan hoping to shut down the continuation, manages to do it, but the disc goes around to Simone Ball. Back to Furness. Downey unmarked, gets the reset. Chips through the middle to Morihu Cookson. Ball on the sideline, back to Cookson. The defense not in a great position. Works back to Michael Downey. Kelly Carter holsters the big forehand. No one really testing the deep space with Owen Sun there. It's a reasonable strategy. Let's focus on the short passes, they must be thinking. Furness to Carter. Downey. Ball back to Downey. Barker tries to take a bite. Carter to Downey.
The ball on the sideline, who sends it back to Kelly Carter, and then they start swinging. No,
Furness
through.
to Carter again. Cookson has an option, but it's not taken. Furness to chip a few meters away of territory, despite the impressive defensive pressure of the MDC S.W.O.R.D zone. Simone Ball looks back to Kelly Carter. Tries to pop pass, Anna Dolan overcommits, leaves Ball unattended. She gets the reset, goes back to Carter. Back to Ball again. A nicely baited low backhand as Downey cuts across, but Boardman's ready for it. He shuts that hole down. Goes Carter, back to Furness. Downey trying to two-step his way free of Zaria Ireland.
Oh.
This is the momentum. Furness and Carter through to Young, right on the doorstep.
Oh.
Tries to get away to Simone Ball, but it's not going to be enough. Possession going back to MDC S.W.O.R.D.
You could feel the excitement at that movement, but...
And again, it really is which team's able to control the tempo and the pace, and you could see that Hammertron had the patience, and all of a sudden there's an option, and they clean things up. A quick turn, an opportunity here. Hamish Furness chips through to Melody Yong for the score. That's what they needed. Hammertron Prime still in the game. S.W.O.R.D 2 points away from victory. Hammertron Prime 7 points away from a win, but they're starting to get that momentum back. What a point. Huge build in pressure, and then all of a sudden, like a pot boiling, Hammertron Prime just took off along that near sideline, chipping away, keeping the zone out of position. A little bit too much tempo. It overboiled. They generated the turn, but they were fortunate enough to get it back. And then a quick 1-2 through to Melody Yong for the score.
Yes, it's really exciting when you've been slamming away at a zone defense and you can feel yourself starting to move through it, but it's recognizing that you have to slow down and still make sure every pass is going to land where it needs to land.
Hammertron Prime down by 5 to come out on defense now. Collins, Murihu Cookson, Hughes, Tan, Frost, Hogan and Furness. A solid defensive line against any other team, but against MDC S.W.O.R.D, where we're starting to see those same familiar faces. I guess the hope is that in the second half, MDC S.W.O.R.D, the legs are starting to fade a little bit. We're seeing a lot of players having to play back-to-back points. Crosby, Yo, Boardman, Stevenson. Stevenson on a great undercut, keeps it secure, marked by Collins. Mace pressured by Hogan. It's not going to be there as a reset. Has to go straight back to Crosby. Nearly fumbles it, but he keeps it in hand. Boardman not used as a reset. He puts the shot up. Furness over Yo, but it's going to fade. A huge opportunity for Hammertron Prime here to bring it back within 4 if they can hold it together. There are a few shooters on the line. Troy Stevenson hoping to shut down that deep space in much the same way that Owen Sun was doing when he was on the field. We're going to see yet another defensive zone. Furness pinned down by Charlesworth, Mace and Crosby. Offloads to Collins. Furness dipping back, coming through, making sure there's not a really big loss of yards on those resets, keeping those shot clocks low, the stall counts low, making sure that possession isn't just given away. Looks back to Aroha Hughes. Crosby closes in the desired space that Hughes was trying to target.
Hammertron struggling to get it off the sideline.
Great bid by Yo, but it's gonna be enough. There's the turn.
Yes, that pop did float up a little bit high, and I
Just
think all
a
it took
high
was-
pressure reset.
Yeah.
S.W.O.R.D with a great opportunity here. They're probably gonna call in isolation again. Crosby, a great handler. It's looked away.
Hoo-hoo.
And the low reset trying to float it out to Boardman. It doesn't work. Furness doesn't let one rip. He thread ones through to Collins. Collins has it now. The zone starting to loosen up a little bit. Frost making himself an option on the near sideline, but he goes back to Collins. He
And
lets
it
one rip.
goes.
Frost is going deep. Stevenson's underneath it, but Frost might have it. A
Oh.
great chase down, but a bit of a tumble towards the end means he's not going to be able to get a hand to it. Huge territorial play by Hammertron, though. If they can generate a turn here, it's going to be a short walk to the end zone. They know that MDC S.W.O.R.D must be getting tired. There aren't that many players to roll through.
Impressive chase by Frost. Stevenson was nowhere near him. He just needed the disc a little bit closer.
MDC S.W.O.R.D setting up out of a vertical stack. Where are they going to target? Near side, far side. Hogan shutting down Mace. Crosby with the disc, pressured by Frost, but he gets the reset away to Boardman this time. Murihu Cookson tries to get involved. 1, 2, 3 touches on the disc. It's Tan who comes down with it. A great pickup for Hammertron Prime for this season, generating those necessary turns. Collins has it. He's marked down by Troy Stevenson. That's a matchup they might be able to exploit if they want to pressure the deep space. A reset to Frost, and then swing wide to the far sideline for Cookson. Threads one through to Aroha Hughes in the midfield, marked by Kate Charlesworth. Couple of fakes. It's high. It's out of bounds. The disc will go back to MDC S.W.O.R.D with an opportunity here, just a little past halfway in their defensive half. So a little over 35 meters to go if they want to score this point. It's possible to do on a single throw, particularly with shooters like Stevenson and Crosby in the upfield space. But they'll play safe. Go to Yo to center the disc without gaining much in the way of yards. Mace looked off too closely, marked by Hogan, sends one long. It's Collins and Stevenson. Murihu Cookson closing, it's fading away. Stevenson's not going to be able to get a hand to a position, going back to Hammertron Prime. Some great replacement of the cone by Kate Charlesworth as she sets the defense, that same three-player cup. Mace, Charlesworth, and Crosby. Finn Collins with a big hammer over the top.
Gotta be short.
Oh. It could be argued that the position of Bender did stop Frost making a play on the disc.
Yeah,
he looked set to jump for it. And had a great read.
It's almost like she was running and then realized he was there a moment too late.
Yeah, so that looks like they will accept that foul, which I think is a great call based on that. Frost did have good position. He was holding his space, squaring up to jump. Bender, just full collision, stopped him having a play, so he will keep possession where he is. Looks back, finds Hogan. Big fakes to shift the zone. Murihu Cookson, as the zone slowly closes in, goes up looking for Frost. It's going to happen again. Frost comes down with it. Just a reminder for those watching at home, it is a non-contact sport. Frost goes back to Tan. Collins, not an option, goes to Cookson. Hughes comes back to help out in that reset space. Tan streaking deep.
Finn Collins bringing it in on the near sideline.
Backpedaling a little bit to get that one in hand. Finds Hogan as a reset. Great work by the zone to shift. Frost's going to run that one down. Comes wide, finds Collins again. Hammertron losing a few yards on every pass, but Tan's not able to pull that one in. Possession is going to go back to MDC S.W.O.R.D. Collins on Crosby. Frost on Boardman. Charlesworth pushing deep, covered by Tan, who's got the read. Great put, great reception by Kate Charlesworth for the score. MDC S.W.O.R.D pushed to 14. It is only moments away from soft cap, 8 minutes away from soft cap, or one defensive break away from victory for S.W.O.R.D. Hammertron Prime maybe leaving their comeback train a little bit late in this game. They really gave away the first half. They were down by 3 or 4 at one point. And then when the second half happened, they gave up 2 early. 2 points early rather than saying they gave up too early. But in doing so, they let MDC S.W.O.R.D edge closer and closer to victory. Again, the winner of this game is going to advance the top 4. The team that walks away without victory is going to be doomed to the 5 through 8 bracket.
Yes, I don't think Hammertron is going to make this last point easy for MDC at all, but they do have a steep climb to catch them.
So it looks like a timeout has been called. So just a crucial moment, right? Every single point from here on out is the only one for Hammertron. MDC, they've only got to get lucky once, but we will see what the conclusion of this timeout is very shortly.
Nova Scotia Electric, become a member.
And we are back, the current leaders in this game on field. Coach, well, I say coach, Ben Waller, who would have been on the roster were it not for an injury, giving a little bit of support there despite not kitted up for this game. Hammertron Prime on your screen now, the entire team taking the field. You can see the difference in roster size. S.W.O.R.D having lost quite a few players to injury already. 7 on the line for what might be the last point of this game. Wilcock, Preble, Carter, Kapoor, Downey, Bertram, and Wilson. Against Crosby, Sun, Ireland, Swinson, Stewart. Crosby again. And Chris Barker. Now, while Ian Stewart's skill on the ultimate field is largely relegated to his technical abilities, this is a game where athleticism and grind is going to be the one that wins it. So it's an interesting choice, maybe fielding him on what might be a crucial point. Although perhaps MDC recognize they've got a little bit of wiggle room with the margin that they've carved out over this prime side. Downey has the disc, looks back for Kelly Carter. Back to Downey, back to Carter, just playing a little bit of hopscotch, some keep away, making sure the disc stays in hand. Back through to Kelly Carter, taking a few steps with every possession. Lucas Wilcock really trying to pressure the zone, trying to get it to collapse and really force some more openings. Vaughan Wilson, some give and go with Michael Downey on the near sideline. Tessa Swinson on the mark, supported by Chris Barker, putting a lot of pressure on. Downey goes far sideline, finds Wilcock, back to Kelly Carter. Close in by Barker and Crosby. Crosby stops the up line, but the long shot goes up for Preble. It's not going to come away. There's a little bit too much fade on the disc as it comes back towards center field. An opportunity now for MDC S.W.O.R.D to close out this game and Hammertron's chances of walking away with a shot in the top 4. A great look. Preble was open in the end zone, but the disc was a little bit speedy, had a little bit of fade to it. It turned away from the intended receiver.
Yes.
Just not going to happen. Crosby to pick up and initiate. Sun already pressuring deep. Wilcock in hot pursuit.
Ooh.
Great run through by Wilson to stop Stewart getting a hand to that overhead.
And Hammertron have the disc back in front of their own.
Kelly Carter cross to Wilcock with a nice assist to Michael Downey on a great cut, almost completely unmarked. Hammertron Prime 9, MDC S.W.O.R.D 14. This might be what Hammertron need as MDC S.W.O.R.D appear to be a little bit on their last legs, running out of players. Do they have enough in the tank to close out this game? They are only 1 point away. Hammertron looking to start calling lines each time, needing to put the best and freshest players on each point to give them the best chance of keeping themselves in this game. They can't afford a single error. It's unlikely for MDC S.W.O.R.D to really give up turns as easily. Now, admittedly, throughout the second half of the game, we've seen it happen a little bit more often. We are seeing them start to flag a little bit, maybe some executional errors. Some of the younger players are still firing strong. But again, low numbers, very few players available to sub. If you're taking time off the field on this sword line, you aren't off for long. And the worst part is as Hammertron's defense really starts to fire up and get aggressive, those points take longer. They start to wear away at you. The fatigue starts to build up. Is it going to be enough to see a prime victory in this, or are MDC going to put the sword in this last point? Emma Taylor with the disc gives the signal for readiness. Mirrored by MDC, we are ready to go. Taylor sends it low, it's going to touchdown just past halfway, skimming to a stop, only 5 meters into the MDC sword defensive half. Ireland to pick up early. Resets to Charlesworth, far sideline, Taylor getting aggressive, flashing those feet, trying to stop the reset. Ireland gets it anyway. Ball putting on the pressure now. Charlesworth, far sideline. Carter not able to get in front of Bender. Bender unpressured as there's a couple of switches taking place. Carter on Ireland now. Ball on Bender. Bender has the disc. Has to go straight back to Ireland, threading one through to Bender again. It's that same lady dominator that we're seeing. This is where the freshness in the legs is. Ireland to Mace on the near sideline. Araha Hughes trying to put the pressure on, trying to stop anything happening in the downfield space. Stevenson wants to make himself available. He's going to do it. Kent Wilcock trying to pressure it now. A little chippy up goes to Yo. Furness applies the mark. Yo not able to get a long shot off. Has to go to Boardman on a short reset again. Switching defense. There goes our soft cap.
Ooh.
A great bid by Yo. A same third throw, a really hard throw to catch, so it's not going to come away. Frost's got it.
And
Frost lets one rip,
goes.
looking for Furness over Ireland. Ireland closing Furness.
Ooh.
Gets a tumble. Great play by Ireland for a clean block. Boardman to pick up and initiate. Stevenson wants the undercut. Boardman comes left. Who's got underneath it? It's Frost! Huge block with the Dikembe Mutombo spike. He says, not in my house. Simone Ball finds Carter near sideline. Frost tries to make himself available. Quick changes of direction. It goes back towards center field to find Ball. Furness has it, it's a laser through
And
for
Frost brings it down.
And Hammertron Prime hit double digits in the game. This could be the start of the Tron train making its way into comeback station. Hammertron Prime only 4 points behind, really making the second half their own, but they demand perfection at this point. MDC S.W.O.R.D only 1 point away from scoring. The energy in their ladies, as we could see, still very, very fresh. They were able to run those female match dominator plays, really working the disc until something developed in the in the downfield space. We're going to get to see that again. Looks like Zaria Ireland went up and touched the disc just to add a little bit of wobble before Furness was able to secure a hand to it. Now, I have tried to be as impartial as possible, but Hammertron was where I learned the game. They taught me everything I needed to know, and then it took me another couple of years to unlearn most of it. But it's hard not to support the people who brought you to where you are, and even from the commentary box, trying to be as unbiased as possible, Lydia. I've got to be honest, it's difficult. I want to see this match stretch on as long as possible. We are well past the soft cap now, but with the S.W.O.R.D lead...
You got to root for them. They've been making their way back from a fair bit of a deficit. It's been an uphill climb, and you've seen them really fight for it, so you have to root for them a little bit.
Bertram applying pressure on the mark. Ireland has the disc after a quick field to Sun. Goes back to Sun. Frost trying to use the sidelines as an additional defender, but Ireland's able to walk away with it. Huge play by Frost. Great heads up to shut down that disc on the Vic.
And goes for the quick
And Kent Wilcott for Frost for the bookends. Great touch on the disc. Generates the turn. Almost happened, too quick to call it. Absolutely beautiful play by Jaden Frost. Gets the touch and the score. Hammertron back within 3. Is this what we need? It's a 4-male match point. Who is going to take the field for MDC? Stevenson, Yo, Boardman, Charlesworth, Swinson. Crosby and Bender. Again, Hammertron calling lines. We're going to get to see that again. Great defensive awareness, stopping Stevenson, getting a hand on it. Amazing work by Jaden Frost, almost doing everything on that point by himself. Certainly how it looked from our perspective, but of course defense is a team sport. Briar Bertram doing great work stopping that upline option, really pressuring the reset, giving that opening that Jaden Frost was able to exploit. Frost, Doherty, Hogan, Furness, Ball, Carter and Murehu Cookson to keep Hammertron Prime alive in this game. Frost really looks like he's only just warming up. After a performance like that with a huge pull, it's going to go a little high. It's going to fade back towards us here in the commentary booth, just touching down inside the defensive half for MDC S.W.O.R.D. Yo is pushing deep. Boardman threads one through to Charlesworth. Takes a knee slide, but keeps it in hand. Marked by Hogan. Boardman marked by Doherty. Not giving up that upline around. Yo gets it. Marked by Furness now.
Finds Stevenson
Troy
on
Stevenson.
the line. Sends it back, but too low.
Great line drive. The second attempt trying to hit Yo at the front corner of the near sideline. It hasn't come away both times. MDC might be starting to fade. My heart rate is starting to rise. I'm pretty sure my smartwatch is about to send a notification to get me a checkup at the hospital. Hamish Furness has the disc. We're seeing that same zone. He wants to uncork the long shot. He goes through, finds Hogan in the zone. Looks back to Kelly Carter, finds Simone Ball. Murehu Cookson, far sideline. The zone is shifting wide. Back to Carter, Murehu Cookson. Furness is an option. Threads one through to Murehu Cookson. The zone a little bit out of position. Puts one long, looking for Connor Doherty. Has he got the read? Has he got the read? No, he does not. He slowed himself down to try and figure out where the disc was. The possession goes back to S.W.O.R.D. This is the moment that makes the game. Can S.W.O.R.D close out the point, or can the ever-impressive Hammertron defense generate a turn for us now? Murehu Cookson trying to mark James Crosby as he threatens the deep space. Peter Boardman goes wide, finds Charlesworth, marked by Carter.
Troy Stevenson sprinting long, but it's not coming today.
Crosby up over Cookson, re-centers to Stevenson. Goes wide to Yo. Furnish slowly shuts that one down. Goes to Bender, Hogan in front. Murehu Cookson sagging off a little bit, hoping to help out where he can. Goes back to Stevenson, wide around to Crosby. A big scooper over the top, but it's blading early, and that is Yo for the score and the game. MDC S.W.O.R.D by 5, takes them through to the semi-finals and the top 4. Hammertron Prime, despite an impressive defensive comeback, will be relegated to the 5 through 8 bracket. A somewhat ignominious finish for them. Great performance during this game, but going from back-to-back third-place finishes in recent Mixed Ultimate Championships in Division 1 to see them knocked out of the top bracket is a little bit of a heartbreak for those supporters watching at home. Great work by MDC S.W.O.R.D to close it out, especially considering such a lean roster, so many players suffering from injury or taking points away, but they really left everything behind to grind it out, and they will be seeing their Wellington counterparts MDC Shield in the top 4. But for now, My name is Blair Monroe.
And my name's Lydia Smith.
And this has been the third match, the first of our streamed semi-finals in the 2022 Division 1 New Zealand Mixed Ultimate Championships at Bob Deans Field in Hagley Park in Christchurch. Proudly supported by ULTI.TV. We will be back with you very soon for the second of our streamed quarterfinals between Old Boy Sports Club from Auckland and Credo from Canterbury.
Bichon picks up, and they've got a short field. They've got another goal. It's tied up at 12. I cannot believe what I'm seeing
Can
here.
Lola Dam chase that one down? That is a score for Hartlicker and Falcon. Fantastic run by Julia Lutz.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge.
And we believe that requires knocking down the paywall.
We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch, and we want them to go viral.
When you become a member, you enable us to improve our working relationships with tournament organisers, events and federations.
And you'll help us to produce live stories for Ultimate fans, and to generate new fans with our enhanced content.
We are a group of Ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts, and we want to bring you coverage on a more consistent basis. We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Ciao ragazzi, support the community.
Let's subscribe ULTI.TV. There's lots of the videos, posting, everything. Check it out. They are the best one. Woo! If you want to grow Ultimate Sports, become a member of ULTI.TV.
Regardez ULTI.TV. Deviens un membre ULTI.TV et fais grandir ta communauté.
Stop ULTI.TV. Dale-me e rogin-me Ultimate Vendromena. Si quieres ayudar a ULTI.TV, puedes ser miembro de ULTI.TV.
Everyone, follow ULTI.TV on Instagram, on YouTube. They've got everything.
Best content.
Like their pictures if you love Frisbee. Just do it.
We're counting on you.
Bli medlem på ULTI.TV.
Became member
of ULTI.TV.
Mamma mia.
Contribue au développement d'Ultimate avec ULTI.TV.
Like and subscribe. ULTI.TV, the best in the world.
We want to grow Ultimate.
we want to grow Ultimate. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We have our signature style 2-camera setup,
With thousands of hours of experience,
and our crew is globally dispersed to facilitate coverage everywhere around the world. We can also scale back our broadcast with just one elevated camera, or scale up with 2 fields, 2 cameras, and 2 commentators on each.
we work with local teams and we all have the same mission, to grow the sport and bring it to new people by providing live coverage and new stories.
Become a member today on our Patreon page.
And fund our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories, ideas and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.